Yo, early one today. Get the day started off right. Let's get to it. Win/win or no deal. If these individuals had not come up with a synergistic solution, one that was agreeable to both, they would have gone for an even higher expression of win-win, win-win, or no deal. No deal basically means that if we can't find a solution that would benefit us both, we agree to disagree agreeably. No deal. No expectations have been created, no performance contracts established. I don't hire you or we don't take on a particular assignment together because it's obvious that our values or our goals are going in opposite directions. It is so much better to realize this up front instead of downstream. When expectations have been created and both parties have been disillusioned, when you have no deal as an option in your mind, you feel liberated because you have no need to manipulate people, to push your own agenda, to drive for what you want. You can be open. You can really try to understand the deeper issues underlying the positions. With no deal as an option, you can honestly say, I only want to go for win-win. I want to win. I want you to win. I wouldn't want to get my way, and I have you feel good about it, because downstream would be eventually surface and create a withdrawal. On the other hand, I don't think you would feel good if you got your way and I gave in. So let's work for a win-win. Let's really hammer it out. And if we can't find it, then let's agree that we won't make a deal at all. It would be better not to deal with than to live with a decision that wasn't right for us both. Then maybe another time we might be able to get together. Sometime after learning the concept of win-win or no deal, the president of a small computer software company shared with me the following experience. We had developed new software which we sold on a 5-year contract to a particular bank. The bank president was excited about it, but his people weren't really behind the decision. About a month later, the bank changed presidents. The new president came to me and said, I am uncomfortable with these software conversions. I have a mess on my hands. My people are all saying that we can't go through this, and I really feel I just can't push it at this point in time. My own company was in deep financial trouble. I knew I had every legal right to enforce the contract, but I had become convinced of the value of the principle of win-win. So I told him, we have a contract, your bank has secured our products and our products to convert you to this program. But we understand you're not happy about it, so what we'll like to do is give you back the contract, give you back your deposit, and if you are ever looking for a software solution in the future, come back and see us. I literally walked away from an $84,000 contract. It was close to financial suicide, but I felt that in the long run, if the principle were true, it would come back and pay dividends. 3 months later, the new president called me. I'm now going to make changes in my data process, he said, and I want to do business with you. He signed a contract for $240,000. Anything less than win-wins and interdependent reality is a poor second best that will have impact in a long-term relationship. The cost of that impact needs to be carefully considered. If you can't reach a true win-win, you're ever often better off to go for no deal. Win-win or no deal provides tremendous emotional freedom in the family relationships. If family members can't agree on a veto that everyone will enjoy, they can simply decide to do something else. No deal. Rather than having some enjoy the evening at the expense of others. I have a friend whose family has been involved in singing together for several years. When they were young, she arranged the music, made the costumes, accompanied them on the piano, and directed the performances. As the children grew older, their taste in music began to change, and they wanted to have more say in what they performed and what they wore. They became less responsive to direction. Because she had years of experience in performing herself and felt closer to the needs of the older people at the rest homes where they planned to perform, she didn't feel that many of the ideas that they that they were suggesting would be appropriate. At the same time, however, she recognized their need to express themselves and to be part of the decision-making process. So she set up a win-win or no deal. She told them she wanted to write an agreement that everyone felt good about, or they would simply find other ways to enjoy their talents. As a result, everyone felt free to express his or her feelings and ideas that they worked to set up a win-win agreement, knowing that whether or not they could agree, there would be no emotional strings. The win-win or no deal approach is most realistic at the beginning of a business relationship or enterprise. In a continued business relationship, no deal may not be a viable option, which can create serious problems, especially for family businesses or businesses that are begun initially on the basis of friendship. In an effort to preserve the relationship, people sometimes go on years for making one compromise after another, thinking win-lose or lose-win, even while taking win-win. This creates serious problems for the people and for the business, particularly in the competition operates on win-win and synergy. Without no deal, many such businesses simply deteriorate and either fail or have to be turned over to professional managers. Experience shows that it is often better in setting up a family business or a business between friends to acknowledge the possibility of no deal downstream and to establish some kind of buy/sell agreement so that the business can prosper without permanently damaging the relationships. Of course, there are some relationships where no deal is not viable. I wouldn't abandon my children or my spouse and go for no deal. It would be better, if necessary, to go for compromise, a low form of win-win. But in many cases, it is possible to go into negotiation with a full win-win or no deal attitude. And the freedom in that attitude is incredible. 5 dimensions of win-win. Think win-win is a habit of interpersonal leadership. It involves the exercise of each of the unique human endowments, self-awareness, imagination, conscience, and an independent will. In our relationships with others, it involves mutual learning, mutual influence, and mutual benefits. It takes great courage as well as consideration to create these mutual benefits, particularly if they're interacting with others who are deeply scripted in win-lose. This is why this habit involves principles of interpersonal leadership. Effective interpersonal leadership requires the vision, the proactive initiative, and the security, guidance, wisdom, and power that come from principle-centered personal leadership. The principle of win-win is fundamental to success in all our interactions and embraces 5 interdependent dimensions of life. It begins with character and it moves toward relationships, out of which flow agreements. It is nurtured in an environment where structure and systems are based on win-win, and it involves process. We cannot achieve win-win ends with win-lose or lose-win means. The following diagram shows how these 5 dimensions relate to each other. Now let's consider each of the 5 dimensions in turn. Character. Character. Character is the foundation of win-win, and everything else builds on that foundation. There are 3 character traits essential to the win-win paradigm. Integrity. We have already defined integrity as the value we place on ourselves. Habit 1, 2, and 3 help us develop and maintain integrity as we clearly identify our values and proactively organize and execute around those values on a daily basis. We develop self-awareness and independent will by making and keeping meaningful promises and commitments. There's no way to go for a win in our own lives if we don't even know in a deep sense what constitutes a win, what is in fact harmonious with our innermost values, and if we cannot make and keep commitments to ourselves as well as to others, our commitments become meaningless. We know it, others know it, they sense duplicity and become guarded. There's no foundation of trust, and win-win becomes an ineffective superficial technique. Integrity is the cornerstone and the foundation. Maturity. Maturity is the balance between courage and consideration. I first learned this definition of maturity in the fall of 1955 from a marvelous professor, Rand Exenson, who instructed my control class at the Harvard Business School. He taught the finest, simplest, most practical yet profound definition of emotional maturity I've ever came across. The ability to express one's own feelings and convictions balanced with consideration for the thoughts and feelings of others, as well as part of this doctoral research. Ex Saxonin has had developed this criterion over years of historical and direct field research. He later wrote his own original research format in its completeness with supportive reasoning and applications suggested in a Harvard Business Review article January through February 1958, even though it is a complementary and also developmental. Rand's use of the word maturity is different from its use in the Seven Habits maturity continuum, which focuses on a growth and development process from dependency through independency to interdependency. If you examine many of the psychologist tests used for hiring, promoting, and training processes, you will find that they are designed to evaluate this kind of maturity, whether it's called the ego strength slash empathy balance, the self-confidence slash respect for others balance, the concern for people slash concern for task balance, I'm okay, you're okay, in transactional analysis language, or 9.1, 1.9, 5.5, 9.9 in management grade language. The quality sought for is the balance of what I call courage and consideration. For respect for this quality is deeply ingrained in the theory of human interactions, management, and leadership. It is a deep embodiment of the P/PC balance. While courage may focus on getting the golden egg, consideration deals with the long-term welfare of the other stakeholders. The basic task of leadership is to increase the standard of living and the quality of life for all stakeholders. Consideration, courage. Many people think in dichotomies in either or terms. They think if you're nice, you're not tough, but in win-win is nice and tough. It's twice as tough as win-lose. To go for win-win, you not only have to be nice, you have to be courageous. You not only have to be empathetic, you have to be confident. Not only have to be considerate and sensitive, you have to be brave. To do that, to achieve the balance between courage and consideration, is the essence of the real maturity in this fundamental to win-win. If I'm high on courage and low on consideration, how will I think win-lose? I'll be strong and ego-bound. I'll have the courage of my convictions, but I won't be very considerate of yours. To compensate for my lack of internal maturity and emotional strength, I might borrow strength from my position and power, or from my credentials, my seniority, my affirmations. If I'm high on consideration and low on courage, I'll think lose-win. I'll be so considerate of your convictions and desires that I won't have the courage to express and actualize my own. High courage and consideration are both essential to win-win. It is a balance that is the mark of real maturity. If I have it, I can listen, I can empathetically understand, I can also courageously confront. Abundance mentality. The third character trait essential to win-win is the abundance mentality, the paradigm that there is plenty out there for everybody. Most people are deeply scripted in what I call the scarcity mentality. They see life as having only so much, as though they were only one pie out there. And if everyone were to get a big piece of the pie, it would mean less for everybody else. The scarcity mentality is a zero-sum paradigm of life. People with a scarcity mentality have a very difficult time sharing recognition and credit, power, or profit, even with those who help in the production. They also have a very hard time being generally happy for the successes of other people, even and sometimes especially members of their own family or close friends and associates. It's almost as if something is being taken from them when someone else receives special recognition or a windfall gain or has remarkable success or achievement. Although they might verbally express happiness for others' success inwardly, they are eating their hearts out. Their sense of worth comes from being compared, and someone else's success to some degree means their failure. Only so many people can be students. Only one person can be number one. To win simply means to beat. Often people with a scarcity mentality harbor secret hopes that others might suffer misfortune, to terribly not terribly misfortune, but acceptable misfortune that would keep them in their place. They're always comparing, always competing. They give their energies to possessing things or other people in order to increase their sense of worth. They want other people to be the way they want them to be. They often want to clone them, and they surround themselves with yes people, because people won't challenge them. People who are weaker than they. It's difficult for people with a scarcity mentality to be members of a complementary team. They took on differences as signs of insubordination and disloyalty. The abundance mentality, on the other hand, flows out of a deeper inner sense of personal wealth and a scarcity. It is a paradigm that there is plenty out there and enough to spare for everybody. It results in sharing and prestige, of recognition, of profits, of decision making. It opens possibilities, opinions, alternatives, and creativity. The abundance mentality takes the personal joy, satisfaction, and fulfillment of habits 1, 2, and 3. It turns it outward, appreciating the uniqueness, the inner direction, the proactive nature of others. It recognizes the unlimited possibilities for positive interactive growth and development, creating new third alternatives. Public victory does not mean victory over other people. It means success and effective interaction that brings mutually beneficial results to everyone involved. Public victory means working together, communicating together, making things happen together, even that together that even the same people couldn't make happen by working independently. And public victory is an outgrowth of the abundance mentality paradigm. A character rich in integrity, maturity, and the abundance mentality has a genuineness that goes far beyond technique or lack of it in human interaction. One thing I have found particularly helpful to lose when people in developing a win-win character is to associate with some model or mentor who really thinks win-win. When people are deeply scripted in win-lose or other philosophies and regularly associate with others who are likewise scripted, they don't have much opportunity to see and experience the win-win philosophy in action. So I recommend reading literature such as the inspiring biography of Anwar Sadat, In Searching of Identity, and seeing movies like Chariots of Fire or plays like Les Miserables that expose you to models of win-win. But remember, if we search deeply enough within ourselves, beyond the scripting, beyond the learned attitudes and behaviors, the real validation of win-win, as well as every other correct principle, is in our own lives. A lot to unpack, but I'd like to talk about, just before this page, around circling the idea about public victory. I'll mainly talk about this. Obviously, we'd read a lot, but I think public victory is a very big component in when it comes to the win-win situation, because let's think about it, right? In the book, or in the paragraph where it says it can't be done independently, it has to be interdependently, meaning you need other people to have a win-win. But also, it's not just about yourself, it's about the community, it's about the relationships, it's about the team that you're a part of, right? And I think that's very important, because when I think of that, I think of, if you want to be successful, or if you want to have a very happy life or a very fulfilling life, you can't do it by yourself. You have to have other people around you that are supporting you, that you are supporting, and it becomes more of a team aspect rather than just an individual aspect. Every single person in your life has a key role in it, and I think if you coordinate and you contribute to not only their life, they will also contribute it back to yours. So I think very important to realize, because I feel like, at least this day and age, I think this kind of circles around the scarcity mentality, that people only want it for themselves. They only want the social praise. They want the recognition, the validation from other people. But that is more of a win-lose situation. And better yet, that's not even a healthy habit or a healthy recognition or validation. But if you're working together, if you're helping each other, if you don't care about that social recognition or that validation from others, but you more or less care about the validation from yourself, or um, or the heart and courage to help other people, I think is a better way to go about it. So yeah, something that I appreciated was that, on the regards of public victory, that it's a victory, but it's with others and as a team. So yeah.